Do you know a good lawyer? I promise I'm not in trouble or anything. What about a doctor or a finance guy or gal? You maybe do, right? Know at least one? I only ask because today happens to be Saturday, and for people in those high-stress careers, sometimes the weekend isn't necessarily a day off, even if looking at their work schedule it's technically supposed to be. The pressure and stress of these and similar jobs can be crushing. So on this official day of rest, I want to talk to you about burnout at work. What causes it, how to spot it, its dangers, and some actionable steps you can take to help any loved ones you think might be struggling with it. Or yourself, if you're impacted. My husband was a lawyer for almost 5 years, so I've seen up close the effect of a seemingly relentless work environment. Burnout tends to happen when a worker is repeatedly faced with long work hours, high expectations, and tight deadlines. Those are bad enough, but when they're also coupled with limited autonomy over your work schedule, your projects, or even your downtime, it's a really bad combo. Burnout looks different from person to person and across different fields, but there are some common warning signs that you can look out for, like constant exhaustion, trouble focusing, lost motivation, and becoming more cynical or emotionally detached. Burnout isn't just feeling tired at the end of a long week. It runs a lot deeper than that and has some really serious knock-on effects. Generally, your productivity tanks and your physical and mental health both take a nosedive. Think irritability, anxiety, hopelessness, depression. Often your close relationships start to suffer, with feelings of resentment coming into sharp focus. And it's not just lawyers, doctors, or finance professionals that are at risk. Burnout is rampant in other high-stress careers too. Think academics, teachers, first responders, and high-stakes corporate roles. I was a postdoc at university for several years, and I saw up close the damage that the publish or perish culture has on many academics, where the pressure to produce new, novel, groundbreaking work never lets up. I was also a high school teacher for several years, which is definitely a profession with high rates of burnout. Too often, teachers are expected to handle overcrowded classrooms, bureaucratic red tape, and offer emotional support to their students without enough school resources. And for first responders, like police officers, paramedics, firefighters, which I have no personal experience, the combination of high-stress situations, long hours, and ultimately traumatic experiences can be really overwhelming. And unfortunately, studies suggest that in these careers we've been talking about, burnout is shockingly common. Anywhere from 30 to 50% of workers in these professions report feeling burned out at some point in their careers. So what can you do if you're spotting some red flags of burnout in a loved one or in yourself? Well, here are some actionable steps you can take. Gently encourage stricter work-life boundaries, whether that be taking more breaks, actually using vacation days, or committing to not checking email outside of work unless absolutely necessary. Re-evaluate the workload and delegate out what can be, and potentially have a conversation with a manager about bandwidth. Prioritize rest and stress management. Check if the worker's getting enough sleep, they're getting good exercise, and potentially consider seeking therapy if that would help. If you suspect that a loved one is struggling to cope, one of the best things that you can do is offer emotional validation. Stress at work can feel very isolating, and it can really help to know that somebody you care about understands. There are more drastic changes that can be made too. You can reassess if the career path that you're on is actually for you. My husband still has a fantastic job, he's just no longer a lawyer. He has better work-life balance and is on the whole a lot healthier and happier. If the nuclear option of switching careers isn't an option, you could try negotiating a new work arrangement, whether that's remote work or a hybrid schedule, or negotiating for mental health days being baked into your schedule. If you're really suffering, you could also take an extended break from your career. Think a sabbatical or extended leave. Depending on your profession or your particular role, this might be easier or harder to achieve, but some industries and companies have support programs designed for just this sort of thing. Ultimately, the bottom line is, burnout isn't a badge of honor, it's a warning sign. If you or someone close to you is struggling, take it seriously. Protecting your well-being isn't selfish, it's necessary, and it can save a life. Seriously, if you're struggling with stress at work or burnout, please reach out to me, to someone else in your life, to someone online. There are lots of resources out there that can help, and it's not something you have to struggle through alone. Things can and should be better.